Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream Sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream Queen Size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal Queen Size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. President Donald Trump said he will sign an executive order to address airport disruptions, announcing the move in a Truth Social post yesterday that framed the situation as a national emergency. A dangerous substance dubbed gas station heroin continues to alarm medical professionals, with more states making moves to restrict or ban tianeptine, the drug you can find at your neighborhood convenience store. Some medical professionals say it's more potent than addictive opioids. A North Carolina woman who vanished 24 years ago tearfully reunited with her daughter yesterday. I have an update on this story. And South Carolina taxpayers will have until October to complete their state income taxes amid continued uncertainty over whether legislators will adopt changes in the federal tax code for the year. Finally, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott is with us today, and I'm going to ask her what her final decision is on whether she'll participate in the upcoming GOP debates. Plus, we'll talk about the South Carolina Senate considering reducing regulation for businesses and their effort to regulate THC products. A lot to cover. So let's jump right in.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Folks, if you've flown anywhere recently or even tried, you already know something that's just not right now. We're talking about hours-long lines, missed flights, frustrated travelers from coast to coast over these past few weeks with the partial government shutdown. Now the situation has reached a boiling point. President Donald Trump says he's going to step in, declaring what he calls a national emergency at America's airports. So let's just break this down. What does this look like? It all stems from the partial government shutdown, now stretching into, about a month now, centered on funding for the Department of Homeland Security. And right in the middle of it, the Transportation Security Administration, better known as TSA, these are the men and women screening passengers, checking your bags, keeping our skies safe. But during the shutdown, many of them have been working without pay. We've talked about it quite a bit these past few weeks. And as you might expect, it's starting to take its toll. Imagine if you went to your job and your boss says, I'm not going to be able to pay you for a week or 2 or 3 or 4. You got fewer agents showing up at the airports. Morale is dropping. And the result, airports in some areas are literally almost grinding to a halt. It's just not safe. We're seeing lines stretching out the door, families missing flights, business travelers stranded. In some cases, entire terminals backed up for hours. A lot of reports of congressmen, U.S. senators being late, getting back to Washington. Some of the airlines have eliminated their special programs for members of Congress temporarily. So it's really starting to hit home. President Trump says enough is enough. In a post on Truth Social, he'll announce that he'll sign an executive order to immediately pay TSA agents using emergency authority. His argument is simple. This has gone from a political dispute to a national crisis, and he's placing the blame squarely on congressional Democrats, accusing them of refusing to fund immigration, the TSA, and in his words, creating chaos at the airports. Now, backing him up is Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin. He was there with him in the Oval Office as the announcement was made. He's praising the move, saying it's about restoring order and ending what he calls unnecessary disruption. And it is. Look, regardless of where you fall politically, there's one thing most Americans agree on. Air travel is part of the backbone of this country. It's an everyday common thing now. At one time, it was a very special thing to get on an airplane and fly somewhere. Now it's a common daily thing for a lot of people, a lot of business travelers, a lot of people traveling for vacation, a lot of people traveling to see their family. When airports stop functioning efficiently, it's not just an inconvenience for people. It impacts business, commerce, security, the economy as a whole. The airline industry is huge in our economy. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This isn't the first time a president has taken action like this during a shutdown. There's precedent for ensuring critical workers, especially those tied to national security, continue to get paid and stay on the job. But the bigger question is this: does this move actually solve the problem, or is it just a temporary patch on a much larger political standoff? Because there doesn't seem to be any wiggle room on either side with the Democrats or the Republicans. At the end of the day, the root issue hasn't changed. Congress is still at odds over DHS funding. Immigration enforcement remains a flashpoint. The Democrats think that President Trump has gone overboard. Republicans believe that we have to enforce immigration. You know, it's one thing to close the border down, which we've done. It's another to continue, though, to just turn and look the other way with some of the criminals who are in our country, not only entering the country illegally, but breaking our laws in addition to murdering, robbing, just bad people. You got to take a stand, and that's what President Trump has done. That's what he promised us he would do in the 2024 election. Now, Democrats hate that. Democrats, for whatever reason, and again, I have a hard time understanding their thoughts on this, why anybody, any American, would want illegals staying in our country. But they do. Democrats do. They're willing to die on the Hill. They have held out all these weeks, and so even with President Trump just in this past week, asking ICE agents to go to airports, that has relieved the stress some. You know, I posted a story on my YouTube channel the other day titled "Lines Gone, TSA to the Rescue." And I put in there a CNN reporter who was just stunned as airport lines have disappeared in some areas where we've seen ICE agents show up. And the comments that I've received on that is kind of crazy. I mean, some people just challenging me on the report itself. And I had one lady comment, well, you should watch Fox or you should watch CNN to get the real truth. And I just kindly responded, well, you understand that the reporter that I shared with you is from CNN, right? I'm not making this up. I guess you thought I was making it up, that ICE was starting to make a difference. But hey, not a big enough difference. We need TSA agents paid. We need them back on their jobs. And with them not being paid, more and more have called in sick. And can you blame them for not showing up for a job that they're not getting paid for? So until we get the root of the problem solved, though, and that's the immigration enforcement, and find some common ground there and be able to get the Democrats on the same page, until that gets resolved, the risk of this ongoing disruption is not going to go away, even with President Trump temporarily funding with the emergency order. Now, what do you want to bet that some of these Democrats and some of these leftist groups are going to challenge President Trump's ability to pay TSA? They're going to challenge him. They're going to try to hold it up in court. You watch. There'll be lawsuits filed. Now, how do you reconcile that? How do you challenge a president who has found a way to pay these people, and you object to that? How do you do that? So what does this mean? Well, if you're traveling in the coming days or weeks, actually, let me first say, if you don't have to travel, I'm still going to say don't travel. But if you are, expect delays take a nice dose of patience with you, because you may get into situations to where you're going to have to wait. Airports are still playing catch up. Even if President Trump does fund TSA tomorrow, today, this weekend, or early next week, it's still going to take a while to get some of these TSA agents back in there, and some probably will never go back. Some probably have found jobs someplace else. The system is under a lot of pressure, and the bottom line is this. The president's stepping in now. He's using executive authority to try and restore order at the nation's airports. TSA agents may soon be getting paid again, but the bigger battle is still in Washington, and that's far from over. It's far from a permanent solution, because the Democrats, they're just digging in. They're not going to give on this issue.
GOP shots like Ozempic are everywhere right now, but here's the question. What happens when you stop? If you don't fix the reason your body gained weight in the first place, the weight comes back. Joey Hudson here at PhD Weight Loss. They don't just treat the weight as the problem. They treat it as a symptom of metabolic dysfunction, hormone imbalance, or inflammation. If you don't correct those, no shot or hack will ever last. PhD looks at you holistically to improve your health span, your energy, and your longevity, because losing weight is one thing, but keeping it off for life is another. Right now, when you call PhD Weight Loss and mention Joey Hudson, you'll receive 2 free weeks in the program, and they'll cover the cost of your food. That's real results with zero guesswork. Again, mention Joey Hudson when you call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900. Visit them online at myphdweightloss.com. Stop chasing weight. Start fixing what actually is causing it. Call today. Be sure and tell them Joey Hudson sent you. Get you 2 free weeks in the program. 864-644-1900.
I have an update for you on a story that we talked about a few weeks ago. A North Carolina woman who vanished more than 2 decades ago was found alive earlier this year, tearfully reunited with her daughter yesterday. Now, this was just a crazy story. Michelle Hunley Smith appeared before a Rockingham County judge in North Carolina yesterday related to a DWI charge from November of 2001. After her initial appearance, Ms. Smith quickened her pace to tearfully embrace her daughter, Amanda Hunley, outside of the courtroom. The pair had not been together since the now 63-year-old mom vanished, left her husband and 3 children 24 years ago. Amanda, Hunley Smith asked, "Your hair wasn't this length. We walked right by you. I didn't recognize you." Hunley Smith was located February 20th in an undisclosed location within North Carolina after detectives received new information about her case. The Rockingham County Sheriff's Office had previously confirmed this story. Sheriff Sam Page said that Ms. Smith told investigators she left her family on her own accord and cited ongoing domestic issues as the reason for her disappearance. Page did not elaborate on those issues, and investigators have said there's no evidence of foul play. She just left. She left her family. She left her husband. She left her kids. I have a hard time understanding that, but she did. And they didn't know what was wrong. They didn't know if she was even alive. I would assume they probably suspected that maybe she was dead. Smith was 38 at the time. Her 3 children at an Eden, North Carolina home, she left them December 9th, 2001, to go Christmas shopping at a Kmart in Martinsville, Virginia, just across the line. Her vehicle was never found. She did not return home. Her husband reported her missing later that month. So he must not have been too alarmed. I mean, that kind of tells you about their relationship, maybe that there was going through a rough patch there. If he didn't report her missing for, it appears to be weeks. Now, over the passing decades, local, state, federal agencies participated in efforts to locate her. Despite periodic appeals and flyers distributed in the region, her whereabouts remained unknown, again, 24 years. The New York Post reported it had located Smith in a trailer in a rural community near the South Carolina state line. Miss Smith told the outlet she was trying to make amends with her daughter and the family she walked out on decades ago. She told the New York Post, "My daughter is forgiving me. We are in contact, so leave me alone." Smith's neighbor said that she had been here for years and years and mostly had kept to herself. She appeared in court Thursday to answer this DWI charge from November 2001. The question I have is, had she not been caught up with because of this DUI, would she have ever come forward? Would she have ever let her family know that she was still alive? Because, again, the Eden Police Department issued this DWI charge in November of 2001. She failed to appear in court in December of 2001 on that charge. On February 25th of this year, Smith was taken into custody by Robeson County Sheriff's Office at the request of Rockingham County authorities. She posted a $2,000 bond. Her next hearing is scheduled for April 23rd. But that's when authorities realized that this was the lady who had been missing for 24 years. Explain that one to me. A dangerous substance dubbed gas station heroin continues to alarm medical professionals, with more states making moves to either restrict it or to ban tianeptine. 14 states have officially classified the antidepressant as a Schedule I controlled substance. Connecticut's the latest state to crack down, officially banning the sale and the use of the substance starting this week. Now, tianeptine, which can produce euphoria in high doses, can be more potent than morphine and addictive opioids, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Now, that's a scary thing, isn't it? That you can go into a convenience store and buy this in some slick packaging. Some countries have taken steps to restrict how tianeptine is prescribed or dispensed and have even revised the labels to warn people of its potential addictive qualities. Misuse of tianeptine can cause severe adverse health effects, including respiratory depression, severe sedation, and death, according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. But again, it's still found in gas stations in some areas. Some companies market the drug as an aid for pain. Some say that it's just a cure for anxiety, depression, or as a means of improving mental alertness in a pill, powder, salt, or a liquid form. The products are typically sold at convenience stores, gas stations, vape shops, online retailers. Some of the names that you might see: Tiana, Zaza, Neptune's Fix. Look, anything named Neptune's Fix, that should be a heads up that you don't want to be buying it, and you certainly don't want to be taking it. Also known as TD Red and Pegasus. Connecticut Lieutenant Governor Susan Byschwich said in a press release that the schedule change is a necessary step to combat addiction. She said, with false marketing that led consumers to believe these are safe products, and with candy-like flavor options, these substances pose a clear threat to those battling substance use disorder and our younger residents. Look, in some cases, it appears that it looks like candy. And you got young people who shouldn't be able to buy it, who are walking out of convenience stores with it. The Connecticut also added kratom. That's another formula that you see at these vape shops. And there's a whole list of other drugs that you can buy at these stores that are marketed under different names. Some of these I can't even pronounce. Phenibut, nitazines, flubrosamala. I mean, again, these are things that you can buy in a gas station. Earlier this month, FDA Commissioner Martin McCary wrote a letter sounding the alarm on what he called a dangerous and growing health trend. Now, you know, we've had the debate in the South Carolina legislature these past few weeks over either regulating in some form THC products, these THC gummies, the THC drinks. Some people saying that they should be banned outright. The compromise appears to be headed towards just more regulation, not allowing them to be sold on the shelves, but in some cases only sold in liquor stores, for example. But these are scary drugs, and they're drugs. Connecticut earlier this month took heed from the FDA commissioner, who again said that it was a growing health trend. New York-based Robert Swainer, an MD and vice chair of system clinical affairs at Stony Brook Emergency Medicine, said that the FDA has never approved tianeptine as a dietary supplement, yet that's how it ends up in these stores and on the store shelves. He said the euphoria at low doses is primarily due to increased serotonin stimulation, which he said ultimately results in a loss of respiratory drive and subsequent cardiac arrest in some patients. He said with increasing doses, and look, you're buying it on the shelf, you're buying it in a convenience store, so you're not going to pay a whole lot of attention to the instructions, are you? He said, as with heroin and other opioids, significant mu opioid receptor stimulation ultimately results in a loss of respiratory drive, and you become addicted, and you need higher and higher dosages as you get by. Swainer said he believes the substance requires national regulation because of its addictive qualities. He said, acting as the same receptors as opioids, tianeptine has the potential for an individual to develop tolerance, subsequent dependence, and withdrawal from its use. Again, it's scary to think that kids can walk into a store and buy this. I'd love to get your feedback. Text me. Email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Are these things, should they be regulated? Should they be banned? Should they not be sold in convenience stores? Should they not be sold in vape shops? And I go back to the THC issue too, because THC is a different type of substance, but still it has some of those same qualities that people can get themselves in trouble over. So let me know. Is this an overreach? And a number of states have already regulated these type drugs, and more are being added to that list. South Carolina is back in the news with two seemingly contradictory things happening with our population. Here's the story. The percentage of residents increased faster than in any other state in 2025, but the state's population growth slowed at the same time. According to the just-released estimates from the Census Bureau, multiple places in the Palmetto State were among the top 5 for growth rate in the nation. Many other parts of the state, however, remained in a population decline. So let's look at some of those. The leaders included the fastest-growing U.S. county, Jasper, South Carolina. Jasper is just outside of Beaufort, on the way to Hilton Head. The second and third fastest-growing metropolitan area, Myrtle Beach, and then Spartanburg. And parts of the metro area that added the most residents just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, over into the South Carolina line. Now, for those who feel the state's population has been growing too fast, the good news is that the growth rate slowed in most counties, particularly those that had been seeing the largest influx. Joshua Rhodes, Deputy Executive Director and General Counsel at the South Carolina Association of Counties, said South Carolina is a crazy fast-growing state, but most of that growth is in 10 counties. More than 80% of South Carolina's population gain since the 2020 census has come in Beaufort, Berkeley, Charleston, Lancaster, Lexington, Greenville, Horry, Richland, Spartanburg, and York. So that Greenville, Spartanburg, York corridor up 85 is in that top list. Rising populations have been good for many businesses, and particularly for builders. John McCain, President and CEO of the Lancaster County Chamber, said when you have large population growth areas, sort of the motto is that restaurant and retail follows residential. McCain grew up in Indian Land near Lancaster County's border with North Carolina. He said it was very rural, and the transformation there has been quite incredible. And we've seen this in a lot of areas. Areas that were just sleepy little areas that just this past decade have exploded. You don't even recognize them as being the same place that they were 10 years ago. Ballooning populations have also, of course, put a strain on our road and infrastructures, put a strain on schools. It's contributed to elevated housing costs. Efforts to balanced the boom have included development impact fees, land use regulations, potentially linking new development approvals to the capacity of roads and schools. It hasn't slowed it down, though. Mr. Rhodes said in some counties, population growth is being driven by older retirees, people who tend to need more services, but generally pay lower taxes and under South Carolina law, which include age-based property tax and income tax breaks. He said if they come here because of tourism and then decide to retire here, there's only so much you can do to stop it. You can't stop people from coming anyway. You just got a better plan. In Jasper County, more than a third of residents are expected to be age 65 or older by 2040, according to the state's estimates with the new census info. Jasper County Council Chairman Joey Roll said our growth is outpacing some services, especially primary care health positions for the retirees. A lot of the retirees also want more brick-and-mortar amenities in the area. And the health services are something to be concerned about. With people moving here, particularly retirees moving here, as noted, you got to have health care services. That's why we're also seeing, though, these new hospitals and treatment centers just popping up everywhere. You know, we have a new hospital being built on 385 on the way into Greenville and a lot of these outpatient clinics are able to open now because of the repeal of certificate of need just over a year ago. It's opened up a competition in the healthcare field. One of the big growth periods that we've seen was there at the end of COVID and the years following COVID. People flooded into South Carolina as the pandemic eased, particularly in 2022. In 2023, half dozen counties saw their resident counts rise by more than 7% in just 12 months. That is a huge growth pace. Population growth slowed after that. In 2025, only one South Carolina county saw an increase of more than 3.3%, but it has been steady, considering that you have some states around the country, California, New York, who are losing their population pretty quickly. People are wanting to get out of there. According to the Census Bureau, among the 2,066 counties that grew more than between 2023 and 2024, nearly 8 in 10 saw their growth slow or reverse direction in 2025. The shift nationwide was largely due to lower levels of net international migration, according to the analysts. South Carolina's growth has been driven by domestic migration from other states, as I mentioned. That accounted for more than 79,958 in the increase in the state's population in 2025. So let's look at some of the numbers here, some of the most rapid population growth over 12 months. Jasper, as I mentioned, adjacent to Beaufort County, was the fastest. Berkeley, adjacent to Charleston County, but with lower housing prices and far more open land, Berkeley has been a top growth county, and in 2025 grew even faster than Horry, which often takes the top spot, up 3.3%. Let's come up to the upstate, Spartanburg. Greenville's next door neighbor, once known for textile mills. Spartanburg has lately been attracting many people from other states. It's up 3% to 380,857. Lancaster, one of the 3 South Carolina counties considered part of the Charlotte metropolitan area, up 2.7%, or just over 114,000. So, some good things. The State Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office has estimated the state population will add another 800,000 people by 2042. All the growth expected to come in 21 of the state's 46 counties, while the rest, most of them, outer-lying areas, are going to see some shrinking populations. So, get ready. Get ready for some new neighbors. One other quick thing out of Columbia. South Carolina state taxpayers will have until October to complete their state income taxes amid continued uncertainty over whether the South Carolina General Assembly will adopt changes in the federal tax code for the year. You probably heard about this, that the South Carolina has not enacted some of the provisions that are in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, including exemptions for taxes on tips and overtime, as well as increased breaks for senior citizens. The full Senate has yet to take up the proposal, considering the uncertainty over how people or how much people might owe. The Department of Revenue granted an automatic 6-month extension for all filers from April 15th to October 15th. Now, the new deadline applies only to the date to file your taxes for refunds. If you think you're going to owe taxes, you still have to pay those by April 15th, or you could face penalties and interest. Anyone who owes money, you need to pay at least 90% of that by April 15th, or again face fines or the penalties and interest. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. On our guest line, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Welcome. How are you this week?
I'm doing great, Joey. I hope you are. I just wish we could turn the heat up a little bit, right? It goes from really hot to now it's wearing a jacket again yesterday. I mean, we just need to get to warm weather and stay there.
We are in that time of the year to where, yes, you do not know what to expect when you get up each morning, whether you need a jacket or just short sleeves. So, yeah. And that yellow stuff is starting to show up too. So we're about to go through that pollen season as well. So speaking of the temperature, things are heating up a bit in the governor's race. Next week is the first of several debates being sponsored by the SCGOP. One of your opponents, U.S. Representative Ralph Norman, says that you are dodging the debate. Will you be participating next week?
No, I will not be in the debate next week, but I hardly think I'm dodging anybody. I've been to every single governor's forum. I've been to all 46 counties taking my message and hearing people's concerns right where they live. I've been everywhere, and I continue to be everywhere, so that hardly seems like I'm dodging anything. Joey, with the debates, when I found out that there was going to be, a cost. This was somehow going to be, I don't know, somebody had made comment that it was going to be a fundraiser. It just was something I didn't believe was right. I have spent 8 years going to GOP meetings, really becoming friends with a lot of the grassroots people across the state. And, when we got a pricing list that said to get 50 tickets, it was going to be a price tag of $20,000. It just seemed really wrong to me that the people who are most involved within the party were not going to be able to attend, unless our campaign looked out for them and spent $20,000 to the party to allow, our grassroots people to be able to come to these debates. And that just, to me, seemed wrong. Yeah. And so we just said, we're going to take a pass. We've said, I believe at this point, my SCETV has offered to do a debate. That debate is, just like all the other debates I've been a part of during my time in office. They'll set it up. They'll be shown statewide, and there'll be no cost to anybody, and everybody can see it. And I just think that that's, for me, the right thing to do.
Yeah, We had an addition to the roster, if you will, last week. Ram Reddy, the Low Country businessman, joined the race. Now, he says he will not be participating in the debates either, but for a little bit of a different reason, because he's not accepting any contributions from individuals nor PACs. And that's part of the qualifications for the debate, to have received a certain number of donations from individual donors. Should those rules be reconsidered now?
You know, I really don't know. I haven't talked to Ram about this, so I haven't even read his reasons. I did hear at one point he had said he doesn't want endorsements, he doesn't want money, he's just going to do his own thing. So it just sounds to me like he's marching to the beat of his own drum, and you know, I mean, he's got a right to do that. For me, it was more about kind of standing up for our grassroots people.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody should have the biggest opportunity to show up at a debate, it should be the people that work hard for us, the people that put signs out, that make phone calls, that spend their own money to help get candidates elected.
Right.
Those are the people that most want to see these things and participate. And for me, it just seemed fundamentally wrong that, we were making a threshold so high that they would not really be able to attend. And I don't know about anybody else, but at $3,500, a maxed out donation, that's an awful lot of, a candidate's money. If they feel like, wow, I have a lot of people that help me, they would like to attend, I'm going to have to pay that bill. And I don't know, Joey, I work really hard, and I don't think my donors will think that's a good use of money.
Yeah.
So, I think everybody has their own reasons, and, they morally think things are right or wrong, and you should stand by your convictions.
Sure. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette is with me today. All right, let's get on to the issues here. The South Carolina Senate's considering a proposal that would require all policing agencies that operate an overnight lockup to participate in U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement's 287G program. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great idea. I think the president has wanted that. I also believe that, we need to recognize the fact that, all of our state agencies have been doing this on their own already. Most of our sheriffs across the state have been voluntarily doing this already. Not a lot of time left in session. I think there's a lot of issues that have to be debated. I don't know that I saw this as a huge problem. I'm glad that we're bringing it up. I'm glad that we're encouraging. The last time I was asked and checked, we had a really good buy-in on this statewide here in South Carolina. So I say kudos to our sheriffs, kudos to our law enforcement for doing it on their own, getting people through that program so that we can help President Trump and we can keep South Carolina streets, as we always do, safe.
Yeah. Also in the state Senate, and they have been busy in the Senate. Last week the House took a furlough, so that I've been kind of joking with my legislative friends. The House took a furlough so the Senate could get caught up. But now the Senate didn't. They didn't find that too humorous. Yeah. The President Alexander didn't find that very humorous. But they passed legislation limiting South Carolina sales of intoxicating hemp products to adults over 21. This applies to both beverages and gummies, and in most cases restricts the sales to liquor stores. Your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think we always have to protect our young people, and the idea now that it's a wild west out there, that anybody of any age can buy these things, has to be fixed. So I hope that we see movement on it and we come up to really good common sense legislation that protects our young people. I mean, that should be what we do first and foremost.
Yeah. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, it's always a pleasure. Be safe out on the campaign trail and all the other duties. You've got it pretty tough here. You're campaigning and you have your normal duties as Lieutenant Governor as well, so you're very, very busy.
I am, and David would have me tell you, Joey. I still have to take care of him, right?
Yes.
You know, I mean, he still. I have to work him into my weekly schedule, him and the kids and my mom.
Yep.
But 75 days left until the primary, and so we're all going to get through it as a family, and we're excited to get to the finish line.
Yep. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evatt, always a pleasure. Be safe.
Thanks so much, Joey.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.